Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Tim Mueller. Tim Mueller is the president and co-founder of ITX and is president of Martin Wolf. Tim leads all strategic growth initiatives and operations for Martin Wolf. Tim returns to Martin Wolf after 8 years as CEO and co-founder of ITX, a Martin Wolf company. From 2005 to 2011, Tim was CEO of Philogy, a Silicon Valley tech startup offering groundbreaking broadband technology to telephone carriers around the world. By 2010, Philogy was ranked 243rd on the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing companies in the United States. The company was acquired by Actelis Networks in March 2011. Well, good afternoon, Tim. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Brian. Nice to be here with you today.
Absolutely. Tim, we've been working back and forth over the last several months, and just it's incredible your journey, and we're going to talk about that today. But the fact that you're out there, you're trying to help businesses make decisions around those IT companies, right? Mergers, acquisitions. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, your career, and some good questions so we can share that with our audience. So we're going to just jump directly into the questions here. Tim, you've got quite that career in business, technology. You're a serial entrepreneur and now the president and co-founder of ITX. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what led you to found ITX?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And it's been a really wild and wonderful journey in this. But I think really the genesis of going into the ability to facilitate the sale between a buyer and a seller of IT companies is that I went through 3 different M&A transactions as a founder. So I've walked in the shoes of these guys. I've been an operator of high growth technology firms. And I just felt like at that stage of my career, I really wanted to help entrepreneurs unlock the value of the business that they've created. Most of these guys that are your listeners and your readers for Coruzant, these guys are smaller mid-market firms, and most of their net worth is really tied up in their business, even though they've made a good living and really enjoyed working the way they have. And so what we try to do is we leverage the 50,000 buyers globally that we have in our network to bring those buyers and sellers together so that whether an entrepreneur wants to move on and do something differently or hit the beach and say, you know what, 40 years in the business is enough, and I think we really want to call it a day. That's really why we do what we do.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. And the fact that you can actually, a lot of people can talk that talk, but you can actually walk the walk, being an operator, former owner of a company and going through those processes, being able to share that experience with your clients is very, very helpful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and it is. And I think part of the whole process, Brian, is that it's a fairly emotional thing for these smaller mid-market firms. So we find ourselves in the role of playing, confidant, big brother, priest, rabbi, psychologist, because a lot of it is beyond just the numbers of find buyer to match with seller. There is an identity that a lot of these business owners have with their companies. And so we try to prepare them on the emotional side as well of what it takes to either prepare for the sale or what happens after the deal is done and you have fulfilled the obligation you have to the buyer, and what does it look like in the next stage of their life?
Thank you. That's very, very helpful. And Tim, that leads us into that next question then. Could you give us an overview on the M&A marketplace at Coruzant?
Yeah, so we're really happy to join our partners with Coruzant on this. And really, it's a matter of offering a full M&A service to your listeners and readers who are contemplating the sale of their business. And we try to keep it very simple, where we do all the heavy lifting of developing the marketing materials, preparing the seller for the process, right? And going through, the questions that are going to be asked, the materials that are going to be needed. And then we get into the actual process of spreading out very confidentially the information about a company, because really the businesses that go for sale, you do not want the market to know that you're for sale, because nothing but bad things can happen. Employees can get nervous and perhaps try to leave the business. Customers don't want to sign long-term contracts because they think that you're up for sale. And then certainly your competitors can sell against you if they know. So we keep it very confidential. We work with the buyers that we know and have worked with for many years. Our business is 25 years old. And so we've got contacts all around the world who've expressed interest in specific IT services businesses, software as a service business. And just to be clear, what we do is we only work with IT. So we don't go down the route of trying to sell a manufacturing firm or a Subway sandwich franchise shop or something like that. And because of that, our relationships are very strong with the buyers. So this ITX marketplace at Coruzant specifically narrows in on those in your community, Brian, again, who are contemplating the sale, whether it's today, 2 or 3 years from now, but to at least begin the conversation of getting in position to be in position for a sale.
Thank you. Very, very helpful. And I appreciate that. And obviously, this platform is all about technology, especially on the emerging technology side. So again, Tim, thank you. And Tim, what major trends are you seeing today in the M&A industry when it comes to IT deals?
Yeah, so there's no doubt that we're starting to flirt with a recession, not only in the U.S., North America, but also globally. And with that, a lot of things that have happened with interest rates in the last 12 months. And the fact of the matter is there are many buyers who do leverage interest, debt financing. And so interest rates do matter to them. But there are a lot that do have, a war chest, and particularly private equity firm where their full-time job is to deploy and help grow businesses. And so even though we do see some changes in the marketplace, we do believe that, again, the IT emerging technologies type space that are the smaller mid-market firms, still a very active space, still commanding strong multiples. If you look back at 2009 to 2011, that was the last big crash if you look at the financial markets. And after that hangover kind of wore off in 2013, we witnessed in the emerging technologies IT space valuations continuing to climb all the way to about 2018, where they leveled off. And for the last 4 years, they've really kind of stayed where they are. They haven't gone much higher. They certainly haven't gone lower. And so with this, some of the changes in the marketplace, we might notice a little bit of change in valuations. But for the companies that are a good value, they have a good stream of revenue, good customers, preferably recurring revenue with contracts. The buyers are still willing to buy the company at a fair price that allows the seller to feel good and feel prideful for what they built, and then again, unlocking the value in that business.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. And that gives us all a good background from when that recession hit and that market back 2008, post 2008. Very, very helpful. And I'm hopeful that the recession won't be too bad or too long, but we'll just have to wait and see how that is. So, Tim, tell us a little bit about the M&A Marketplace Initiative and how members of the Coruzant community might benefit.
Right. So what we do is we have a custom process for your members, Brian, that allows us to learn their business, try to then take the database that we've developed. A couple of years ago, we hired a data scientist to truly segment our list of buyers. And with that, we're able then to pinpoint exactly who the right set of buyers are for a specific transaction. Usually takes about 180 to 200 days in total, which, it seems quick, but we don't want our sellers out in the marketplace for too long. It's a small enough arena where if you're out there too long, it looks like there's hair in the deal. So we try to work very rapidly to get a buyer set in front of the sellers. And at that point, it kind of takes a life of its own, where the buyers, will get into a rhythm of asking questions. We then have dates certain when offers are due. So it's a very methodical, very disciplined process. And then from that point forward, as the group of buyers start to get narrowed down, we want to make it a very difficult decision for our sellers. So at the end, our goal is to get 3 to 5 very competitive bids so that everything does kind of check off the boxes where it's a culture fit. They know that their customers and their employees will have a safe landing. And from there that we push hard to get the deals done. And, we try to make it as painless as possible, but, make no bones about it. It is a difficult challenge for our sellers to both balance the business, running the business. You can ill afford your business to have a hiccup at all during our process, because buyers want to see the numbers can keep going up and to the right in their graphs. But at the same time, they've got to put a lot of energy into discussions with our buyers, providing data, and then, working with their own attorneys to get a deal done. But it's probably one of the most exciting and really one of the most important decisions the owners and operators in the Coruzant community can make, because, one was a big decision to launch and start their business. And the next one is really when to exit. But we will tell you that based on our history and knowing, the reasons why a lot of these sellers want to either move on or to retire, we'll get photos of guys that have, a mixed drink on the top of their back deck overlooking a golf course saying, thank you. You just, a text from 3 years later, thank you. I really can't appreciate more all that you guys have done for us. So even though it's a business and even though we do charge for our service, I do feel with these smaller guys, there's somewhat of an altruistic landing point for being able to help them achieve their objectives once they've built their business.
That's always great to hear, some accolades or some thank you notes, after a deal's been done years later. And I think that's really kind of the happy ending that people want to hear about this process. So, Tim, thank you so much. And Tim, I want to let you know it was a pleasure having you on today. And I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Great, Brian. We look forward to, as we launch this into the Coruzant community. You've been a great partner so far in getting this up and rolling, and we appreciate your time this afternoon.
Bye for now.